everyone, welcome to another video. I have for you 6 bags that are just perfect investment bags. Now let me just say, when I do videos on investment bags, there are two types of investment. If you're gonna buy something that's got a high price tag, you've got the financial investment. So previously, a lot of my videos have been based on that. It's been based on bags to buy and bags to avoid if you want to be able to buy something and pull your money back out of it at some point. This video isn't about monetary investment, it's about investment in the term of time. So investment bags that do not date, here are the ones that you should buy. If you don't care about the money and you just want a classic, you don't want something that's trending on Instagram right now, the first one is the Hermès Kelly. This bag, for anyone who doesn't know, it was first introduced in 1935, I think. And then in around 1956, it was renamed. So this bag was renamed the Kelly after Grace Kelly. Rumor has it that there was a point in time where she was photographed a lot and she'd have the bag over her arm and she used it to cover her baby bump. Anyway, the reason why this is just one of the most timeless and iconic bags, because it's been around since the 30s. Investment when it comes to time, if you look at the length of time an item has been available for, that for me is sometimes worth more than any potential income you could get from selling it. Now, this is Hermes, so you're gonna be making some money anyway if you ever tried to sell this, but it's a great icon. You know it's gonna be here to stay. If you buy it now, God, give it 20 years and you can probably still wear it. The Chanel 255 is one of the best classics out there. It was named after the month and the year that it was born, which is February 1955. If you are not into logos as well, but you want something that's classic and timeless, this is a really good example of something that you could go for because it's not got the double C's on the front. The double C's were actually introduced, and this spin-off was created in the 80s by the late Karl Lagerfeld. And these were added on at a period in time in the 80s when the desire for people wanting to cover themselves in logos was coming about. The Fendi Baguette bag, this was first made famous on Sex and the City. In fact, Sex and the City really made famous so many different bags and brands and shoes, and whether it's like Malone Blahnik, like the Hang Easy pumps in the blue that Carrie wore for her wedding, or the Dior saddle bag. There's so many designer items that were made famous, and the Baguette bag is one of them. So it's named the Baguette bag because it's designed to sit neatly under your arm like a French baguette. Created in 1997, it's been around ever since. This is a bag that, in my experience, if you were to try and sell it, you wouldn't be making a huge profit on it. Equally, if you were going to go and buy it and you want to make a saving, personally, if I was going to buy it, I'd buy it secondhand to get the saving. But if you want something that is timeless, elegant, it looks good, you can wear it on into the future and not have to worry about that, then the Baguette bag is a good one to go for. If you want a tote bag that is a timeless icon, an investment piece that time is never going to expire on it, then I think the Lady Dior is another really good one. So you'll notice with everything I'm talking about here, the dates when they were born are like several decades ago, and the Lady Dior is exactly the same. So this bag was named after Princess Diana. Now initially, please tell me in the comments if you know more about this. I'm not convinced that this was necessarily designed for her. From what I've been able to understand, Princess Diana was actually gifted one of these bags by a lady called Lady Bernadette Chirac. It was after she was gifted this and photographed carrying it that it grew in popularity. A great example of a bag that has been around decades, looks good, hasn't changed too much in terms of its design. If you buy it now, you can still be wearing it in a few years. It's not going to look dated or out of style or anything. However, does not sell well at all. These do not do well when it comes to selling, like the money you can get on them. And if you like these bags, but you don't want to buy one full price, and you're not fussed on like the color, unless there is a color and a finish that you really want that's in a current collection, personally, I would be buying one of these secondhand. You can get some really good ones and make a really good saving on them. The Prada Backpack. This was first created in 1984. And at the time, so in the 80s, I was like a kid in the 80s, so I don't really remember a huge amount of it, but I know from history, bits and pieces. The 80s were very much about logos. It was almost like what we're in now in the 21st century, where logos and brands are really big. That was the thing that was going on back then. And the Prada Backpack came along, and it was almost, although it has got the nameplate on the front of it, compared to everything else that was going on at the time, it was quite kind of like utility. It wasn't really garish and in your face and look at what brand my bag is from. It was quite played down, but it stuck around, and through the 90s it grew in popularity. And I don't know whether that was because the 90s, everyone was a bit sick to death of the extravagance of the 80s and the show of wealth, and the great thing about that bag was that it was so played down, but it was brand, and it, you know, it was quality and all the rest of it, and it just fitted particularly that 90s vibe of like kind of like, not goth, that's not the word, like grungy. It just fitted that grungy 90s vibe. Now the Prada Backpack, it has been tweaked slightly over the years. The composition of it, not what it's made of, but like pockets, etc., have moved around on it. But by and large, it's pretty much stayed the same. So if you bought one back then and you still got it now, it's still gonna look as fresh as one you might buy now and you might have in the next 10 years. It's kind of one of those bags that, because it's black and it's a backpack, even if they move a pocket on it, it still is the Prada Backpack. And now for a bag that I personally don't like, even though this isn't about me, but this is a great bag if you want something that's got the long-term investment quality to it, not financial, and it's the Louis Vuitton Speedy. I didn't realise it until I did a little bit of research, but the Speedy was actually created for Audrey Hepburn. And for me, I feel like the reason why I wouldn't have put those two together is that, at least in today's day and age, to me, Audrey Hepburn is quite like classy and elegant. And to me, I don't associate the Louis Vuitton print, monogram print, as being classy or elegant. I see it as being like quite, I don't know how I'd describe it, but I just wouldn't put the two of them together. But apparently she was so into her keypull that she used to use that she asked Louis Vuitton whether they could create for her a mini version of it that she could use, like a mini version of her travel stuff, really. And that is how the whole thing got born. That was in 1965, and that bag has been around ever since. So another great bag that if you could only buy one bag and you want something that into the future, you just know they're still going to make it, then that is a great example of one. Interestingly, they don't do so well when it comes to resale. At the moment, they're retailing for around about 25, Speedy 25 anyways, retailing for around about £970. And you can pick them up in varying conditions, secondhand, for around about £400. So they don't hold great value, but the value of time and the fact that it's been around so long is definitely outweighs the value, any monetary value there. So if I had to recommend to you a few bags that if you could only buy one and you don't really care about the selling thing and how much you might get back for it, you just want to know, if I buy that, is that brand going to stop making it? And then suddenly I have something that's so kind of like out of date, it's very hard to work into an outfit. I think that's what we're saying here. It's not so much about, I bought a bag and now because it's old and they don't sell it anymore, I don't want to be seen with it. I don't think that's what we're saying. I think a lot of the time when you spend that much money on a designer bag, when a brand stops making it, and they can date so quickly. I've got a Dior Gaucho bag. I've also got some of the Louis Vuitton monogram pieces, but in the multicolour. I love them, and it's not that I've got a problem wearing them, it's just that they are so out of date. It's really difficult, I find, to make that style of that era work with the style of today. So I think that's why it's really good to buy something that you know is going to be around for a while, so that you're not spending money on something you've only really got a couple of years wear out of. I really hope that you've enjoyed watching this and that you found it helpful. Thank you, and I will see you in the next video.